Hey everybody, welcome back. Coop here with Random Acts of Tech, and today we are continuing on with our project to make a custom printed circuit board. In our last video, we modified this laminator to efficiently and consistently transfer toner from a LaserJet printer from magazine paper onto copper-clad board. In this video, we're going to go through the process of etching away all of the copper that's not covered in toner, leaving us only with copper where our toner traces were. We're going to need several tools for this. I'm going to go through those right now. The first and most important thing we're going to need are gloves. This is very important because we're going to be working with chemicals that will irritate your skin. We're going to need several containers for this. You're going to need one container that is larger that we're going to put heated water in. You're going to need another container that is smaller than that container and fits inside for our actual etchant solution. You're going to need some kind of measuring container to measure out the chemicals that we're going to put in for our etchant solution. This is just simply a small plastic container with a little line drawn. Our last container is going to be to wipe off the toner that's left on our board at the end of the project. We're going to use acetone to do that, so we need something to sit it in and move it around in. Now, it's very important that all of these containers are plastic, especially the one that the etchant is going in, because the etchant is going to eat away at any metals. So all of these containers should be plastic, even the ones that you're going to put water in, just to be safe. You can purchase pre-made etchant solution at most electronics hobby stores. We're not going to use this. Instead, we're going to make our own. We're going to be using muriatic acid, which you can get at almost any hardware store and any pool supply store. We're also going to be using hydrogen peroxide. Now, the first thing that we need to do is we need to fill this up with water and heat the water up. I'm going to go do that. I'll meet you back here. All right, I have my heated water. You may have noticed that I didn't actually heat up the water. That's because I'm here in a shop where the water is very, very hot right out of the faucet. If you're at home, you might want to consider heating it up in the microwave. It doesn't have to be boiling, it just needs to be hot. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our etchant solution. Now, to make our etchant solution, we're going to use 2 parts hydrogen peroxide to 1 part muriatic acid. Now, it doesn't matter how much you use, they just have to be 2 to 1. So you could use a container like this, like I am, or you could use a measuring cup. So, the first thing I'm going to do is take my hydrogen peroxide and get 1 unit of hydrogen peroxide ready. Now, this stuff is very strong. It has a very strong odor, so you're going to want to be in a big open space or outside somewhere that's well ventilated. I'm in a very large open shop, so it's not going to be a problem for me. All right, so I'm going to add my hydrogen peroxide to my etching container. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 parts hydrogen peroxide. We're adding 1 count of hydrogen peroxide to our muriatic acid. And this is our second. Now we have our etchant solution. 2 parts hydrogen peroxide, 1 part muriatic acid. Now what do? We drop in our copper-clad board. We're now going to place our container of our etchant solution with our copper-clad board in the warm water so that it heats up the etchant solution and speeds up the process. All right, so the board is done. It took about an hour. And yes, I did sit there for an entire hour and shake that back and forth. If I look very sweaty, it's because I am, because it's blazing hot in here. However, I wanted you to see the transformation. Normally what I would do is I'd put the board in there, I'd put the lid on very tight, and I'd shake it a little bit, let it sit for a little while, come back and shake it, let it sit for a little while. You don't have to sit there for an hour to do this. But this just goes to show you how quickly this will work compared to sending it off to someplace and getting it back in a week. So now, we can reach in here. You can use plastic tongs if you want, or don't use anything metal to reach in here and get this, because it will start to erode whatever you put in there. Now, as you can see, all of the copper is gone. We are left with just the traces of toner, but these traces of toner have copper underneath. So now what we need to do is we need to get this toner off. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to dip it in some acetone and just wipe it off. So as you can see, after we easily wipe away the toner from our board with the acetone, we're left with just copper that was underneath. These copper traces will carry electrons from component to component that we put on our board, completing our circuit. But we have officially, successfully made a custom PCB. The only thing left to do now is to drill holes, add our components, solder them together, and that's it. We have a completed circuit for our project. And we're going to do all that in our next video. Until then, make something. I almost forgot. Do not pour this down the sink. This is a metal etching, and this will eat away at the bottom of your sink and the inside of your pipes. Do not put this down the sink. Hang on to it, put it in an airtight container, and use it for your next project. But do not put it down the sink. Okay, go now. Go watch the next video.